you know I have my ear, buds in,
Yes,
so
yes,
I
yes.
do not hear what the three of you were just laughing about as the show was opening, and the three of you being Mike Del Tufo, Chris Brockman, and back here on the Rich Eisen show, Danica Patrick. Good to see you, Danica.
Thanks. Good to be here again.
Well, is it safe for work? What you guys?
Yeah,
are
no,
laughing about?
it's safe for work.
Yeah.
It's just like the baby shark thing. I can't keep listening to that. It drives me insane. That's not how I want to start my weekend.
Right.
Is having this thing ingrained in my brain.
So you're fine with it during other weekdays. It's just the fact
weekend.
that it's the weekend.
I guess.
what you're saying?
I guess.
I asked him if he hated Frozen or that. He
Yeah,
hates
it's like
Frozen
between
too. Let it go and
Danica agrees.
Gosh.
Just saying, I'm not on this island alone.
Do you agree with this whole
Nails down
sentiment?
a chalkboard. It's terrible. I like to surround myself with good, positive, high vibe music. Not
Right. The baby shark is not an acceptable.
Is that what it's called?
Yeah, it is.
It's called Baby Shark.
It is.
Well, that's just, there you go.
And
Perfect.
they sing about different sharks in the family as well. And it goes on.
So is it an educational program?
It is definitely not. It is definitely not. But I think your take
Making
on
me
it,
feel dumber then.
Chris. I think your take on it. You're trying to get yourself a spot in the Pretty Intense podcast.
what I'm
that
saying.
take right there. Congrats.
We
on
could
your,
just talk about dumb music.
Oh, that would be
the whole
it.
time.
I'm there.
Congrats
Anytime.
on your pod here.
Thank you.
Danica. Pretty Intense podcast. It dropped the first episode, as the kids like to say.
Yeah.
Just yesterday.
Yeah.
A-Rod.
Yeah.
Was your first guest, huh? Alex Rodriguez.
Yes, that A-Rod.
Yes,
there
that A-Rod.
there are kind of two, but I actually really don't think of my A-Rod as A-Rod at all. There are some people that do call him A-Rod that are like basically friends forever.
Right.
Like the Hawks, like Laura Hawk. He played with AJ Hawk for a long time, and
Right.
Laura always calls him A-Rod. But I think of A-Rod, Alex Rodriguez as A-Rod.
I do too.
I don't think of Aaron as A-Rod.
No. But so Alex.
Aaron, double Aaron. Aaron.
Aaron is one way that you could go. Canadian tuxedo. We can do that too.
Stylish.
We can do that too.
You know,
Let's
here's
just
the deal.
jump. Let's
He
just.
is very stylish. I go to him for advice, and sure enough, I'll go out and do whatever I'm doing, and people are like, "Oh, you look really good," and I'm like, "Well, Aaron picked it out, or he bought me this." Yeah, so that's his
What do you
Canadian
think of
tuxedo.
this? What do we think of this here? This look right here.
He has a total sense of humor. Anyone that pays enough attention to him realizes that. I mean, you
Yep.
just have to look at the mustache to realize he has a sense of humor. And so he loves Sam Elliott. So it's really an ode to Sam Elliott.
It sure is.
And he, I think that the scruff is the normal good look, and
Yeah.
then the scruff kind of grows out, and then he's like, well, I need to get rid of this, so let's just roll with the mustache because that's doing so well now.
Yeah, right.
And then it's a mustache for a while, and then it'll be a clean shave for about a day and a half until it grows back out again, and then it'll be scruff over again. So
And then
this was they played in Winnipeg, so
Bro.
this was his homage to Canada.
Yeah.
And he pulled the bolo out, and I was like, oh, what do you do? He's like, good Canadian tuxedo.
Yeah.
And so I helped a little bit. Only I think my biggest contribution
Yeah, what's
was
your touch here?
he had a Canada beanie or a cowboy hat, and he said, which one? And I said, maybe you don't need either. I'm like, it's nice when you walk this fine line of like looking a little too put together for a costume
Yeah.
that makes people confused,
Yeah.
and that's right the line he likes to walk. Like, are you serious? That's him. I mean, if you know him very well, his comedy is like, are you serious? Or even his comments sometimes are like, are you serious? And people don't know how to take them, and that's a perfect
So,
example.
by the way, I thought
Because he
that's-
looks really good.
I would say that your one note was an excellent note, and he clearly took that note because there was no he had the headsets on though.
He said, "We'll just do a nice comb over." I said, "That's it. Do that."
Winner. So he's growing that mustache out. Like how long does
I think it's pretty grown out.
It's impressive.
It's I
don't know
might
how
have
long
said
that
the
would-
other
It's
day,
strong,
like
man.
FaceTime, I was like, "Whoa, babe," and he's like, "What?" And I'm like, "Your stash is just looking strong." He's like, "What'd you really mean?" I'm like, "A little rough." He's adorable either way, but he just has a sense of humor, so he can keep the mustache all season. I don't care.
That would take me at least a month to grow out looking that very Sam Elliott like. It really, really would. That's impressive. That's a day
one
and
of
a
his
half.
special talents.
That's a day and a half? Is that what
Well,
you're saying?
no, I mean he can
Okay.
get the scruff going in a day and a half
Oh, okay.
pretty easily.
Got
But I think that mustache probably takes, it takes a couple of weeks of like letting it go.
And also, it comes probably from the heart too, right? I mean, you got to have that heart
He loves Sam Elliott.
Sam Elliott.
He even attached him
I
in
saw
the
you
Instagram
tagged-
post. He said,
hashtag.
@official Sam Elliott. Really adores him. Sam, if you're watching, he really likes you.
Come on now.
Let's have dinner.
That's or appear on the Pretty Intense podcast, right?
That would be great. And
Right.
then I'll just have food ready, and it'll turn into a 4-hour
There
ordeal.
you go. There you go. So, what do you talk about with Alex Rodriguez? What's the conversation about?
Well, I mean, the conversation with Alex was I kind of worked a little backwards in time from him, from
Right.
like where he is now to, more of his youth. But we talked a lot about what he's really interested other than baseball, which is numbers and investments. And he's been investing since he got into baseball,
Right.
since he was 20 years old.
Right.
So he's just a real numbers guy, and I'm intrigued by that because I'm not a numbers girl. Like I have brain meltdown as soon as people start to do 1 + 3.
Yeah, I'm more verbal than math.
Yeah,
I'm verbal.
Yeah.
I don't do math at all.
Yeah, math is not for me
It
either.
isn't.
So it's really interesting. And also just that mindset of accomplishing something else and other interests that you have. And, we're not one-dimensional people. We have outside interests other than just what you see us doing.
Right.
But then, of course, the root of the show is to talk about growth, a growth mindset, and how to, the human element of the stories, but then as a means to an ends of understanding how somebody grew from it. So it's like, okay, yes, your performance enhancing situation and being suspended. And I don't really want to talk about that. What I want to talk about is what came from that. Like, where did you go as a human to deal with that, and what were your coping skills, and what does it look like to be in the dirt? Like, it's okay to say how bad it looked for a second because it's relatable. And so the show is meant to create a safe place to be a little bit vulnerable, to not really talk about the bad, but really talk
Right.
about how it became good.
Well, I mean, it's in Danica Patrick here on the Rich Eisen Show. Check out the weekly podcast, Pretty Intense, where all podcasts can be downloaded. With Alex, I mean, that's a crucial part of what's going on with him, or
Yeah.
what went on with him, because
True.
he was, I mean, the only way to put it, off the reservation in terms of baseball, in terms of just accusing baseball of certain things that sounded wild, to say the least, and then all of a sudden just
Yeah.
turned. It's a page turned,
Right.
and a light went on. I don't know what happened.
Well, it's
but-
accountability. So as soon as you start taking accountability for yourself, you have to be vulnerable because you're admitting faults. And as soon as you do that, you realize that there's more strength in the vulnerability than there was in the hiding of it. That it seems weak to be vulnerable, but it's really strong to have that amount of confidence and courage to do it.
Well, in terms of strength and in terms of being a woman doing something for the first time, for you to have Gloria Steinem on, that's
Oh,
going to
yeah.
have to. Have you recorded that one already?
Yes,
or?
I did. Yeah.
You want to give me just a little sneak preview
She
of what
was
that conversation
You know what?
was?
She was like frustratingly, refreshingly simple. That's how I would describe it. Because
Okay.
I wanted to talk about these feminism issues and cultural issues,
Right.
and even just the dynamics of polarity in life and duality, and she's like, it's not real, and she just got to a very, very simple place of we're here to experience life right here, right now. This is what's happening. And so it was really almost too simple. And I think we do try and complicate things as humans on every level and in every way. We try and complicate things, and it's so much more simple than that. And that's what you end up getting from people, especially that are older, that have more experience and perspective,
Right.
is this simplistic approach to things. But it's almost like we get addicted to the drama of complication, and it doesn't need to be like that.
So, who do you want to have on your show?
Will you do it?
Sure,
Okay.
of course.
Thank you.
I will. I love doing home and homes. You
Yeah.
come to my home, I'll come to
Great.
whatever spot you want
Happy.
to tape your podcast.
I love doing the back and forth.
Let's do
I've
it.
done that quite a few times now.
I'll tell you the secret to my success.
I'd love to hear that. Please. I've done 35 episodes, and you've done how many years?
We're coming up on our 5th anniversary.
Yeah.
And it's also interesting. Another thing that we share too is hosting. You hosted the ESPYs. I've never
did.
hosted an ESPYs.
Okay.
The reason why I'm bringing this up, I'm going to go there again.
What does that mean?
The Oscars
Just
didn't
wait-
have,
just wait
the
a second,
Oscars didn't
Danica.
have a host.
Oh, yeah.
Now
you're
the
right.
Emmys have followed suit, and I'm pissed about it.
because you want your shot.
Well, not just I want my shot. It's just like hosts are not disposable. We are crucially important individuals for shows, for television, and or charity projects. We must be a crucial component. And I don't like where this is going. Danica.
I'm just glad I got in before it was too late.
No, so I'm saying, exactly. You know what I'm saying? So you hosted the ESPYs.
Yeah.
And it's a crucial role. Like
It
they
was
could, because they could have.
Fantastic experience.
They could, exactly. They could have an ESPYs without a host. They could have A-Rod come out with LeBron, or, you know, Aaron comes out with Drew Brees, and a voice of God, as we say, comes down and says, ladies and gentlemen, to the stage. Here they come. No.
But there are more opportunities than ever to become your own host. I mean, look at me. I don't have any past history of that. I've never asked anyone questions before, and here I am sitting down with Gloria Steinem for over an hour asking questions. So there's more opportunities than ever, though, to be a host.
In that regard, I'm talking about award shows.
You want an award show.
Everybody keeps saying that I
on your
want
goal
it.
list.
Well, then you keep bringing it up. Like, that's kind of the undercurrent here.
Excuse me. And let's just bring it all full circle with today's show with Alex Honnold being here. It's a slippery slope. It's a slippery slope. When you grab on to the rock that is a host, and you don't have that rock there, you slip.
What are you going to bring to a show as a host that is of value?
Okay. Here's what I would bring to the
Those
show.
are the hard-hitting questions you get on her podcast.
That was pretty intense.
Great question.
Great question. Here's what I would bring. I would bring a fun. What's the word for it? Hold on a second.
You're doing great.
The music's already started, Rich.
There's a letter D, and then there's a letter D, and then there's dash bag. Okay.
Okay.
Free. I will not be that person.
Okay.
You will be able to enjoy all 2-3 hours. If there is an issue, I will come out and diffuse the situation. If there is the wrong winner announced, I will come out and fix that.
Okay.
How is this exclusive just to you?
It's my own style. You know what I'm saying? It's me.
Well, I've asked the question.
I've
asked the question. What makes my podcast different than another one's, especially in this emerging consciousness world of shows that are talking about growing and expanding and open-mindedness and growth mindset and self-care and what makes my show different.
Right.
And so I just asked that question to myself a few days ago.
Right.
And I'm like, me.
Right.
I mean, I make it different.
Correct.
If you like the way that I run the show, the line of questioning, the vein of thinking, if you like my stories, because it's inevitable that you're going to get my stories along the way. So that's what you have to like about it.
Right. If you're that's why what's the name of this show? Mike Del Tufo, remind everybody what the name of the show is over there. I mean, it's a very simple thing.
That was a good one, guys. That was a good one.
I know, and then he just takes forever to actually.
This is the Rich Eisen Show.
So if you if you kind of don't like me, first of all, what the hell's the matter with you? But secondly, 3 hours with me, you might have a trouble. But if not, let's all hang out. So I have my own unique footprint and fingerprint, and on top of it, for an award show, I'm kind of like the fan.
I feel like you'd be great for the ESPYs. Being into sports and
Danica.
I think and being as funny as you are.
Danica, my ESPY invitation has been lost since 2003.
Did you see my rap skit of how I supposedly got the gig?
Yes.
Yeah.
It was great. Look, and by the way, the writing staff is extremely talented. Maura Mant and I go way, way back.
I love Maura. It took 15 to 18 writers to get me that funny.
They have that many,
I know.
Well, you're great at it. I'm just trying to bring up again that hosts are people too. That's all I'm saying.
Hashtag.
So who would you want? I know you asked me, which was very kind of you. Who would you want to have on this show? Like, what's the Danica Patrick wish list here? For your podcast?
I think that Oprah. I mean,
no, seriously, don't you?
Yeah,
just go for
I don't limit myself in my dreams
not?
and aspirations. I'd like to get more than 35 shows under my belt before I interview Oprah. But but I would love that because I feel like she was a large part of what got me interested in investigating into people
Right.
and understanding more about their story and how it can help us.
Right.
And so Super Soul Sunday was a show that I watched many times whenever I had time and I wasn't driving.
Right.
Which hopefully the race was late enough I could catch it. So Super Soul Sunday was always was something that was very helpful in that transition. I also think somebody like a Brene Brown would be amazing. Super great storyteller as well as like a scientist of human nature and emotions. Russell Brand would be really cool.
Russell
Joe
Brand.
Rogan.
Okay.
Yeah.
There you go.
I mean, there's a long list of really amazing. And you know what's great? And maybe you get this on the show too.
Sure.
Is that sometimes someone that you don't see coming turns out to blow you away,
True.
right?
Yes.
And you're like, wow, I didn't know anything about them, or I had a different opinion of them. And then you sit down and talk to them for a little while and you are taken back. And so I also love the element of surprise, and that's happened many times with the show so far.
It is a joy to be part of something like that, and you should take if you get that sort of feeling, you should take pride in the fact that you felt that way, because if you felt that way and it's genuine, then anybody who's listening is going to feel that way too.
Yeah,
and
that's good.
I love
Glad.
the fact, in all honesty, whenever I interview, whether it was on the NFL Network for many years or on this show, somebody saying, I hated that guy because I root against him, or I hated that person because I root against them. Now I'm going to be a fan, because you find out they're a human being who bleeds, who's got a life, who's got family.
You know what that is?
Real people.
That's true for the world. No matter where you go or what you do, people are inherently pretty good.
You'd think so.
There's some bad apples, but when you get down to the root of it, anything that is projected that doesn't feel good is an insecurity or a trauma that's inside of them that they're projecting. They're putting on a mask, armor to protect themselves.
Right.
But at the root of it, when you can get down to the level of vulnerability, they're good.
Well, check out the new podcast. It launched yesterday. Alex Rodriguez and Chef Marcus Samuelson together.
Yeah. Next week is Neil deGrasse Tyson, so that'll be fun.
If you want to talk about
We
it.
have a really wide range so far of people.
I would-
Actually, 2 athletes only so far, and one of them's A-Rod.
And Tony Kanaan.
Tony Kanaan, yep.
As well.
Yep,
There we
IndyCar
go.
driver.
Alex Rodriguez and Neil deGrasse Tyson. I mean, you can't get. I mean that we'll call those bookends.
Thank you.
Right, that you run. You're running the gamut, to say the least. Thanks for coming on. You are welcome here anytime, as you know
Thank
that.
you.
And if you really do want me on your pod,
I would love to.
I will. You're not just saying that, right?
I'm not just saying that.
Okay.
Absolutely not.
All right, so we'll get
I
this
mean, I have
done.
52 shows to book a year, so I need people.
That's, by the way, you know what? That's when you're going to do a podcast called Warm Bodies. Then I'll come on.
I've laughed way too much to not want you.
What an invitation. Well, I got to book the show out. And,
I would
it'll
love
be great.
to have you.
I'm sure we'll have a good conversation.
That was my attempt at humor. Fail. I should stick with the serious. That's what I realized that I'm good at, which is why I'm doing the show like
Stick
this.
to podcasts, Danica.
Serious podcast.
Yes.
Pretty intense ones.
Pretty Intense. Check it all out. Have your own. It's on Twitter at Pretty Intense, and then on Instagram at Pretty Intense by Danica. Good to
It
see
really
you.
was born from the book, because the book's called Pretty Intense, but it's a good descriptor.
You know what? It's called a brand. You're expanding the brand.
Right.
And I would be more than happy to be part
Thank
of it.
you.
You got it. Just let me know when somebody drops out. I'll be there. At Danica Patrick on Twitter and Instagram, right here on The Rich Eisen Show.
For more of The Rich Eisen Show, tune to Audience Channel 239 on DirecTV for free on BR Live, or download the Rich Eisen Show app.